Imagine this. You designed a really amazing website. I said imagine. As if I really designed something. Sorry. Now your website will obviously have some common elements like buttons. Buy now, add to cart, sign in, sign up, etc. etc. And all these buttons will follow some styles like color, font, size, etc. etc. But at last, the client says change the color. Now changing the styles of each button manually will take a long time. So that's where components and variants come into action. So this is my primary button. I mean all the other buttons which I'll be designing will be using the same styles. I mean the color, the font, the size and all those things will be same. So to create a component, you have to select the element that you want to create a component. Right click and create component. And the shortcut for this is nothing but ये क्या है? So hit this and now you have to name the component. Let's say I'll name it as button and create. So there you go. When you create a component, you'll just come into this new place, and if you want to go back to the design section, and there you go. And if you want to go back again to the component section, right click and edit. So there you go. Now this is nothing but a component, primary. Nothing but this is the main component, or I can say the parent component, right? Now the thing is, we need a variant. What do you mean by that? Because as I said the condition, when we create multiple buttons, all should follow the same styles, and whenever we want to change a style, so that's where we create variants. Because I want multiple buttons, right? So to create a variant, I just hit this plus. Now this variant, nothing but the variant 2, is like a child component duplication, right? And this is nothing but the primary component. So parent component and child component. Now in this child component, I can change the content. Like by now I want to be
add to cart.
And I can rename the variant, double click.
And I'll name it as add to cart.
Super, right? Now if I want this add to cart in my design, we'll just go back to this design section. Now we have this primary component, duplicate. We have this primary component again. But over here, we have this button variant. I can go with this add to cart variant. There you go, add to cart. So we have the same component, but I can change the content I want. I mean, I can just change to the variant I want. So same way, let's create two more variants, sign in and sign up. So here I have these four variants. I mean, this is nothing but the parent component, child component, child component and child component, right? So I can just duplicate and I can change the variant to variant 3, duplicate, and I can go with this variant 4. Super awesome. So I have this same component but with different variants, right? Now the thing is, when the client says you my friend change the color of these buttons, I don't want this blue, all these buttons has to be orange. So for your website, all these buttons will be at different position and different pages, right? So now what we can do is nothing but I can go with this any button, right click, edit. We have this component section over here. Now in this component section, when I go with this parent component and let's say I want to change the color of all these buttons at a single time. So you select this parent component and in the style section, you have this fill, right? Let's change this property. I'll go with this orange and there you go. When you change the property of this parent component, all the child components properties has been changed. Awesome. So it works with everything. Like let's say I want to go with this border. I can also change the border color like this. Awesome, right? So whenever you go with this design section, there you go. You can see all the changes. Simple. You just change the style of this parent component and done. All the child components or variants automatically updated. Awesome. One more thing. Let's go to this edit, back to component section, and it also works with the scale. Let's say I will press K, we go with the scale tool and there you go. Works fine. And one more thing, now let's say in my design I'll be using two more buttons, one for this cancel and one for this done. So this cancel and done button should have this different colors, right? So I can just select this variant. This is not the parent component, right? This is a child component. So for this, it can have its own properties. What I mean by that. So I'll just zoom in and the fill, I want to be red.
Right? So let's say red. There you go.
There you go. The child components can have its own properties. Same, I can go with this border. Same with this variant. I can go with this fill and I'll go with this green. So there you go. Now these two variants, is still a child component but can have its own properties. Now you may be thinking, when I just change the color of this parent component, even these two child components colors will be changed to the new one. But no. What do you mean by that? Let's take this parent component and let's say again change the color. So let's go back to this blue color. Whenever you change the color of this parent component, you can see these two are like same, nothing changed. Why? Because at this point, whenever we did not change the color, the connection between this parent component and this child component regarding the color has been broken. What do you mean by that? Because at this point, the color of this parent component and this child component are different. So the connection is nothing but broken. Same with this variant 6. Connection is broken. But other properties are still same. So there's still a connection. Let's say scale. I'll go with this K to scale tool, and when I just change it, there you go. You can see even these two are changing because at this point the scale, the size for both the parent component and the child component are same. So there is still a connection. Awesome. And the last thing regarding variants. Let's say I want to change the font of this by now. You may be thinking I can do the same. I'll just change the font type of this parent component and all this will be changing because at this point all are following this same font, right? But again, nah. Why? Because in this framer, I don't know why, when the content has been changed, okay, here it is by now, but here it is add to cart. So the content has been changed, right? At that point, even the font connection is lost. I don't know why, but it does not happen with Figma. Oh, you don't know about Figma? So you just open Google and search for best skills to learn in 2025, and the one common thing that you have seen in all the platforms is UI UX designing. Now you take a notepad and skills done. What next? What actually is UI UX designing? What software do I have to learn? How do I create my first website? How do I get my first client? Or how do I get my first job? Hi, I'm Shreyas Verma, a UI UX designer, professional. Nope, nada. So in this course, you and I will learn how to create some amazing websites and apps using our favorite software, Figma. Figma, if you're watching this in case need some sponsorship, will elevate your company. This course is for all the levels who are new to Figma, who already know Figma, or who are like masters or professionals in Figma. Will leave this category, okay? Here, we'll start all the way from how to install Figma to designing these amazing websites or apps, and in this process we will cover all the essential topics in Figma, getting our first custom briefing, starting with the wireframe, creating some amazing prototypes in the wireframe itself, creating some amazing micro interactions and animations like loading animations, burger menu animations, slideshow animation, scrolling animation, hovering animation, custom bezier, and more. Also, we will learn the assets which are required before going to the final design, like mood boards, color palettes, typography, styles, gradients, images. Also, we'll see how to create our custom icons using pen tool, drawing in Figma, and using the plugins and effects to elevate our design or enhance our design, which I've already done, to the next level. We'll also cover the confused topics in Figma like components and variants, auto layouts, and constraints, creating a responsive design for our websites using these auto layouts and constraints. And do we stop over there? No! We will see how to share these designs to the client itself and how to export my design or the custom icons or the images, and how do I share my design to the developers and introduction to the dev mode. Also, we'll cover the topics like roadmap, how do I get my first job, how do I get my first client, and what next. What we have to do after learning this UI UX, after learning the essentials in Figma, after creating my first website. What next? A roadmap kind of thing. And yeah, cannot go more deep into this course. So time to join this amazing course and learn how to create this amazing website and apps, add some amazing animations all by yourself, and get your first client and earn money. So whenever I take this by now, I'm in the parent component, and let's say I want to change the font to different one. What happened? This child component's font has not been changed. The reason, as I said, the content is different, right? So the font connection is lost. Let's say again I create a variant. So this by now and by now have the same content. So whenever I change this font, there you go. Even this has been changed. At this point, let's say I'll just change this content. Right? So when I go with this parent component, and change the font. There you go. No change because the content has been changed. So how can I deal with this problem? Because I want to change the font as well, right, whenever needed, but the content has to be different. So that's where variables come into action. Yay, variables! So variables are used in these components, like whenever you want to change this content in the design section itself. What I mean by that, at this point when I go with this tutorial over here, the design area, I cannot change the properties, right? Like when I go with this main component and zoom, I cannot change any property. I have to go with this edit. So that's where variables come into action. So what I'll do, if you want to create a new variable, I have to delete all these variants because the content is like already changed. So now we are back to this main component. Now what I can do is content. Because I want this content to be different, but still it has to be linked. So go to this content over here by now, and you can see this option over here, right? Content. When you hit this content, we have this option called create variable. So I want variable for plain text. So plain text, there you go. Button variable, name, title I can keep, and default is by now, let's say
Content. So the name, the title, content.
And the default will be by now. Yes. So we created a content variable, right? Now it's simple. I can go with this tutorial. Let's delete all of these things, and main component, duplicate. Remember, we did not create any variables, right? So now when I go to this styles over here, we have this button, we have this content by now. Now I can change it to add to cart. There you go. Boom. Instead of creating variants, just create a variable for that particular content or property. You can change them in this design section as well. So again, I can just duplicate and scroll. There you go. Content, sign in. Boom. Done. The same way you can create multiple variables. Let's say fill, because we want fill as well, right? So undo, and I'll just go to edit. So at this point, I can go with this fill over here. I just remove the stroke. I don't want it. So fill, I can create variable, color, and there you go. I'll just keep it as background, and default will be this orange. Awesome. So go back to design section, and now I can go to this add to cart. There you go. We have this background over here, and I can change its color. Let's say I want to create this cancel and done button. Simple. Duplicate, scroll. We have this content as cancel, and the background color will be red. Again duplicate. Now again same.
Content I can change it to the, and the color I can go with this green.
Super, right? So for compression variants, whenever you want to have this content that you want to change at this design section, you can use variables. So just comment down if you are going to create multiple buttons, which is easier for you, creating variants and change the content in the variant section, or using these variables. In my opinion, I'll go with variables, because if I want to add new variable, I can just go to this visible, fill. I can go with overflow, create variable over there, shadow, create variable, border, create variable, and there you go. Radius, I did not give any variable to this radius, right? So I'll change it to 190. There's no difference, right? I'll go with 0. Okay, so there you go. All are changed. So yeah, so variables, amazing thing. Now, how do we use these components and variants and create some amazing micro interactions? What I mean by micro interaction, if you have observed this portfolio website, this scroll down, you can see this arrow, right? That's a micro interaction. And if you want, you can create this micro interaction for this icon, like rotate itself, and this micro interaction. So how do we create all these things using components and variants? Now let's see how we can create amazing micro interactions and animations using these components and variants. So let's take an example. I want a hover effect. I mean, whenever we hover on this buy now button, I want the background color, the blue has to be like dark blue. So how do we do that? So think about animation, nothing but keyframes, right? So this variant 1 acts as keyframe 1, the static one. And I said hover animation, right? So you can see this option over here, right? Hover or pressed. Hit on that, we can go with this hover. So this variant 1, I mean hover, acts as keyframe 2. I mean, what should happen when we hover on this buy now? I want this color to be darker. So in this keyframe 2 or variant 2, I'll just change the fill to darker version. And to preview your animation, you can either go to this design. You can just come to your design file. You can just present, and there you go, our animation. Or you can just edit, and you can just hit this play over here. There you go, our animation. Cool, right? The same way you can also go with this pressed. So I'll just delete this, and we have this option called pressed. So let's say when we press this button, I want the color to change. So fill, I'll go with this darker color, present, and there you go. When pressed, there you go. So you may be thinking, that's it. What? There's only hover and pressed options, nothing else? No, there are more. That's where we create our own animation using this variant. Okay, so let's take another example. I want toggle switch animation. So what I'll do is I'll create a toggle switch over here like this. Now here I have this toggle switch. So I want a micro interaction. Whenever we press on this frame, it has to move over here and the color has to go with green. So first thing first, let's create a component and I'll name it as toggle create. Now, as I said, we have to create a variant. So create a variant. Now this is nothing but keyframe 2. So in keyframe 2, I'm in position 2. I want this one to move over here and the color, it has to go with this. So there you go, I have this variant 1, I'm in keyframe 1 and keyframe 2. So to make a connection between these two, to act as animation, you go with this keyframe 1, you see this option over here, right? Drag and snap. There you go, interaction. We have these options as click, should the animation be when we click on this keyframe 1, or click start, appear, mouse enter, mouse leave and all those things. I'll go with this click. And we have this delay. Nothing but when we click on this keyframe 1, after how many seconds the animation should take place. I'll go with 0. So yeah, that's it. And again, I'll go with this variant 2 because I want the cycle, right? Whenever we press keyframe 2, it has to go back to this keyframe 1 or variant 1. So again, drag and snap. Again, click and leave it. Let's say I want to change the animation, the delay and all those things to edit. So for that, hit this variant 1 and there you go, interactions. We have this click. Hit that, we have this options. We can go with this click, click start, appear, mouse enter, mouse leave, delay, transition, variant. It has to go to variant 2, right? So if you click this into, the interaction is gone. Same with variant 2. There you go. Awesome, right? Now let's check how it's going on. So hit this play. There you go. Micro interaction. Amazing, right? Now I want to edit more. The animation, I want it to be like a instant or a linear animation or an ease in, ease out animation and all those things. So for that, select this keyframe 1 and in this styles you have this called transition, spring, and there you go, we have all these options. Spring, you can go with this time, bounce, delay and all those things. You can see a preview over here, right? So should the animation be completed in 0.4 or you can go with this 2 seconds if you want to go. And you have this ease, nothing but we have this options, linear, ease in, you know what ease in, right? It is very slow at the beginning and does fast at the end. Ease in out is nothing but slow at the end and slow at the out as well. Ease out, back in out, back out and all those things. We can go with this time. Bezier curve, we'll talk about this when we do this animations. Other than micro interactions, we'll talk about this curve. And we have this time again, delay and all those things. So let's say I go with this 2 seconds. Slows down. So preview, there you go. And again, if you click this variant 2, back to the original, right? So that's how you create animations and micro interactions. Yeah, simple. You just have to understand all these keyframes. What should be the position 1, the static position, what should be the position 2, how do I connect it, and how do I do the interaction, what kind of interaction I want, click or appear, mouse enter, mouse leave and all those things. So here I have this scroll down, a component, same as this one over here. So if you have seen scroll down, it's a component, so edit. So this component, the scroll down button, we have this variant, we have this scroll down text and we have this tag. This tag has 2 arrows because if you have observed, we want these 2 arrows like moving continuously like an infinite loop. So that's the reason we have these 2 arrows, one at the top and one at the bottom. We cannot see this arrow because this variant has this overflow as hidden. Now I'll go with this visible. There you go. A stack, and we have given this distribute and logic, used my brain. Sorry. Now what I want, I have to create a variant. So select this variant 1. Let's zoom out a bit. Variant 2. So wait a second. So this is nothing but keyframe 2, right? Now in the second frame, what I want this frame to like move down and this has to go out. So simple, I'll go with this tag and I'll go with this distribute as start. There you go. So in this keyframe 1, this arrow is nothing but arrow 1, and in this variant 2, this arrow 1 has moved down and arrow 2 came into this position, right? So there is an animation, the position has been changed. So how do we create this infinite loop? So select this variant 1 to connect. You have to go like this, snap. I want it to be appear. No click, nothing. It has to appear. So I'll go with appear and delay. Let's give a delay about 1 second. Okay, to actually show the animation. And for infinite loop, what I'll do is nothing but I'll select this keyframe 2 and I'll drag to this. And here it has to be appear. Okay. But the thing is, I'll go with this string and I'll go with instant. Why? Because infinite loop. So let's go with step by step. So it moves from keyframe 1 to keyframe 2. Yes, the animation takes place. But if you have observed, I'll just go with hidden and hidden. So there you go. So when it goes from this keyframe 1 to keyframe 2, yes, the animation takes place because the upper arrow comes to bottom. And what we have given this variant 2 back to variant 1 instant. So whenever keyframe appears, within a millisecond, this variant 1 appears back. We won't recognize it. So again, the loop takes place. So again, it goes back to keyframe 2. So again, instant, keyframe 2, instant, keyframe 2. So the animation takes place repeatedly. Give it a preview. Just given this delay of 0.7 and we have gone with this ease in, ease out about 0.4 seconds. So preview and there you go. Infinite loop, right? So keyframe 1, keyframe 2 instant and again keyframe 1 to keyframe 2. So the animation takes place like infinite loop. So I'll just take this variant 1 over here and I'll just add to my design. Let's go with this absolute. There you go. And I'll just change the color. Cannot see the button actually. So preview. There you go. Scroll. We have this scroll down. There you go. Infinite loop animation. Amazing, right? Again, we have this toggle that we have done, and also we have seen how to create this small infinite loop animation using these components and variants. Not that fancy kind of animations, simple kind of animations just to understand the concept. So that's about this episode 3, I guess, where we have learned about these components, variants, variables, and how to kickstart these micro interactions. So your task, nothing but just go and create some amazing micro interactions. So you can use Pinterest or Behance, Dribble to check some amazing micro interactions and try to recreate them in Framer, and you will get to know how to create amazing micro interactions. And episode 4, the next episode, we will see how to create this landing animations, this infinite loop animations, but not with components, using a feature in Framer itself. And after that, we will see how to create this amazing scrolling animations and all those things, right? So episode 4 is all about effects. Amazing. So make sure to subscribe. Even I don't know when I will be just uploading episode 4. So subscribe and hit the bell icon. See you in episode 4. Bye.